I'm at the beach. I'm at the beach.
Peace, human families of the planet Earth. You are now tuned in live to Super Heru Radio. I'm your host, Aseer the Duke, as well as my co-host, Selena the Empress of 10,000 Years, Saga Star, Little or More, the Prince of Tears, and all of the human families of the planet Earth, especially the Asiatics. Peace, love, truth, justice, equality. Please educate our lost children in equality. And the song you just heard was track number 13 off of the soundtrack mixtape album CD by yours truly and the Queen, Selena, the Empress of 10,000 Years, under our joint music name, Team Cordoba. And we definitely wanted to give love and light and send definitely thanks and praise to the ancestors, to the creators for bringing us back to you all once again, so that way we can, get it in how we always do, as much as we can. You know what I mean? I definitely want to give thanks and praise to all of those who have been supporting us for as long as you have, and inshallah, we'll continue to be worthy of that support, and let everybody know that there's definitely different ways to approach quandaries, and if one way is not working, there's always another way to look into it. So we definitely want to give thanks and praise to that. Want to give shouts to all of our Facebook friends. People who hit us up during the months and when we, post things or whatever. Definitely want to give thanks and praise to that. Also, thanks and praise to those who came before us. You know what I mean? Those noble Moors, and whether or not they was undeclared or whatever, we still see you as that. Brothers like Steve Coakley, brothers like C. Freeman L., brothers like John Henry Clark, brothers like J.A. Rogers, and those giants who left the groundwork for us to do. Even people who we may not agree with them on a let's say a physical level in terms of choices they may have made personally, but if it wasn't for great men like Ivan Van Sertima, whether he was Jesuit trained or not, we definitely want to give him thanks and praise, and thank you for producing one of the best books on the Moors that kind of helped get me on the path, a book called Golden Age of the Moor. So again, we definitely want to give credit and praise what us due, and these great giants in our community have done that. Also, those who came before then, you know what I mean? The Master Adepts, Elijah Poole Bay, W.D. Ford, Elijah Poole Bay, W.D. Ford, Sweet Daddy Phrase, Father Divine, C.M. Bay, Marcus Garvey, Father Allah. We definitely want to give thanks and praise to them, because all of us are basically their children, in the sense that a lot of the knowledge that we've been building on is that, and even go further back with them. You have people like Dr. Suleiman Mohammed, Sharif Kareem L., Sheikh Deuce Faisal, Sheikh Deuce Mohammed, you know what I mean, and so forth and so on, you know what I mean. So we definitely want to, also the Mahdi, the great Mahdi, who created the modest state out of almost nothing, you know what I'm saying, in the 1800s, and really kicked the hell out of the British and you know what I'm saying? So we definitely want to give respect and praise to all of that, you know what I mean? I told him that I'm not going to get nothing else from him unless he gets the other shit. So next time, he was like. So, speaking specifically, you know what I mean, we always like to take up and build on current events. And one of the main events that I found shocking today was that they found a piece of a plane on top of a building in New York, you know what I mean? Which is very funny, because I guess we're to delude, or this is to further cement the whole idea about, the buildings, the plane crashing into the buildings and all of that other type of stuff. So I don't know how they found a wing and they didn't find a fuselage or no other wings or no propellers or no airline seats, none of that. You know what I'm saying? Most people in the country don't even believe that should even happen like that. And, of course, we shouldn't, but I should say, however, let these people carry on their little theater, but don't try to act like that's really relevant or real, because there's always something else agenda-wise dealing with that. We're also today, I guess we can't necessarily celebrate it, but we can, in a sense, celebrate the people's need to uprise based upon the bullshit. This is I don't know how many years, but this is the anniversary of the L.A. riot. The L.A. rebellion that they have made video games out of now, like Grand Theft Auto and other shit. Respect to the dead, Rodney King, who some people still don't want to believe is the son of your man Martin Luther King, a.k.a. Martin Luther King. However, all that's going to come out sooner than you think, you know what I'm saying? So we definitely want to give, respect and praise to him, because regardless of whether or not he was beat up by the police and all of that, his energy was such that it galvanized everybody in the country towards a certain end, whether you agree with it or not or whatever. We can't forget the fact that whole rebellion started based upon the acquittal of these so-called Caucasian or Nazi police who was out there raping and killing and burning people up, framing them, everything else. Funny thing is that regards to who or what happened, the people who were indicted and all of that, they basically all went back to work, and some of them, like Mark Furman, was even promoted, I think, to chief of police. So it goes to show you that the rights of a so-called Negro, African-American gangbanger, or whatever they want to call you this month, don't mean nothing to them, because they have been working this diabolical game against you for a long time. See, in my opinion, this whole thing would have been just switched up if we didn't have so many traitors in our community who ancestrally have been working to throw us off. People like Jesse Jackson, Jesse. I spoke to the elder Moore today. He's like, you know what, Moore, I don't even think that nigga's really black like that. I don't even think he really melanated. That might have been a white man that they just made turn black in a sort of tank. You know how they do. Or whatever, based upon all the things that he did to set black people back on purpose. Him and then his underlings, people like Al Sharpton and Percy Sutton, these niggas who got their stripes from trying to defame and depose real Moors or real pseudo-Asiatic black men that was trying to actually do something for the people like Adam Clayton Powell. You know what I'm saying? But again, the problem is our people are not students of history like they should be. They're students of particular history. Therefore, the overall joint gets lost on them. So we have to begin to resurrect the living history through us. Because the fact that we are Moors who were put in this situation or wound up in this situation based upon us making a choice. And I don't think people realize that the power in choosing is actually what basically put us in the trick bag to a degree. When we chose that we would be a nation based upon us being free nationals, or Moorish American nationals, which represents free man or free men, man being an acronym for Moorish American national. We being the sons of man, you see what I'm saying, gives you a whole nother perspective in what we were supposed to be doing. But at the time that we were supposed to be shepherded into the right way to do things, the Negro preacher came and accepted white women and moonshine and things like that as payment to help ingest people into the fictitious system of we call the United States. Yet the United States itself is only as good as its representatives. Therefore, not all citizens of the United States are corporations, but all corporations are citizens of the United States. See what I'm saying? Just like all Moors are phenotypically or quote-unquote black, if we understand black to be melanated. Yet Yet, well, how can I say it? All Moors are black, but not all black people are Moors, see? Or even accept themselves as Asiatics or anything like that. Therefore, they put themselves in a perpetual situation where they don't have the ability to function in their right mind because their mind is divided against itself. Hey, mommy, one half of their mind is telling them, okay. Now, all of us, like I tell people all the time, like, this ain't for everybody. And because it ain't for everybody, you have people who want to turn everybody against it. You know what I mean? And that's not the best way to accomplish anything in terms of unification. But at the same time, I don't really think that most of the so-called people that's trying to do things today are actually promoting aspects of true unity or actually being together in this thing. I'm more commenting on it.
Some people do believe partnering up. Some people do believe partnering up is actually creating partnership. When really, sometimes, like, even if you have, like somebody in a classroom that wants friends, you'll saddle up with the person that you see is willing to, entertain the same type of behavior that you that you have. So, like, even in today's times, I think that the whole thing, even us, how we're just doing the show and it's just you on the show and we don't have a lot of guests. It's not the fact that I wouldn't have guests. It's like, well, why? If there's so much division, people don't want to be on your show because they feel it's your show. They don't feel like it's weird when you are yourself and you don't know how to really ask outside people to contribute to something that you feel you can do, period. Like, I know why I sometimes encouraged and started you to start your own show. It wasn't because I wanted you to have your own show, but I felt like people would string us out, almost like they do with our friendships, with everything else in life. If we were to rely on them to have a platform to do this or to talk, I could see, I can't have you on tonight, brother, just to get people to want us to need them. Like, that's how life is. There's a lot going on in this third dimension of reality that's very much like, well, if I'm doing this, then I want the people that are known for doing this to need me in order for them to do it. When really it's just not in our personalities to call somebody every week and be like, yo, can I get on your show? It's like, that would be great, but are you not soliciting our energy because you want us to ask? Because I don't want to fucking have to ask to do something that I could do on my own show. That's why I don't even fucking go to yoga classes anymore, because I can do yoga in the sun without going to a studio. Like, the whole purpose is to develop your own discipline and to be able to do what you know you need to do. And, I'll go to studios and there are social events for single women who still want to, do things in group settings, and that's great. I've just kind of grown from that whole thing because I'm always like, damn, while I'm traveling to even get here, I could be with my kids, wash the dishes, clean the stove, and then take, 45 minutes to just sit in my living room and do what I could do on the bus in my living room. I wasn't always there, and it wasn't always a good feeling to even want to inspire yourself to do things by yourself. But if I really waited on class or on someone to lift my leg, I might not be doing this shit as much as I need to do it. So I figured out a way to find the medium of balance for myself, because in this world, my mother taught me no one is going to teach you or inspire you to clean up your own shit. You've got to figure out when you're going to pick up the broom and do it for yourself. As much as I want to have girlfriends and besties, women don't even want to do what I enjoy doing. So why should I put myself in that energy zone just to have a friend? Because in actuality, I'm like, let's go play tennis. Let's go do this. Let's, do a couple laps swimming and then, smoke a joint. Girls don't want to do that. They want to go shopping, do their hair, get their nails done, go to mat counters. Maybe I'll go to the steam room with you. But then if I do that, I'm only going to sit there for 15 to 20 minutes, and then I'm going to complain about how hot it is. Like, you got to have people that enjoy the things you do. And rather than look for somebody to do that with me, I just got to go when I have time to go, and not wonder why Sally isn't calling me to schedule our times together to go. Like, Sally got her own life, and it's okay. I've learned as adults, it's not always easy to link up time. The same thing. It's not always easy to be a part of the group when the group kind of is like not even wanting you to fuck with them because really they want you to need them. So that's not what a friend does. My friends don't want me to need them. We should just be able to go out because I make you laugh and we have a good time together. But, you know, I kind of feel like the elders that started this, they really need certain groups to exist so that they don't have to set up their own website. They don't have to do this shit. This is a lot of little work. It's a lot of little detailed Virgo work and setting up websites and setting up portals to do this shit. But when you have a gift the way Aseer does, I don't even need to be on the radio as much because he gets into his zone and he flows. So, you know, for me to get on, yeah, I'm interrupting, but I'm really trying to make a point in saying that I would love to be a part of everything that everybody is doing. But when everybody is kind of like bullshit and not doing exactly, you know, things that could avoid a lot of confusion, then you have to make a decision as as the elder in this situation to say, this is great, but it's actually slowing down the process. I just want to sometimes tune into something that I can hear, you know, history without any interruption of anyone's personal thoughts or beliefs. And this is a space to do that. So I really appreciate people tuning in because we even tried picking a night that nothing else was going on. You know, like, oh, let's pick Monday night. It's the least, you know, nobody wants to do anything Monday, and everybody. That's why we chose this night. But Monday seems to be the popular night for everybody to go in there. So I'm always like, great, you know, the more the merrier. People will choose, you know, that's how life is. There's 6 different fast food restaurants that all serve the same, you know, double burger with cheese, but each restaurant comes with a different whatever. I don't even want to be a restaurant serving burgers. So even though I might sound like I'm selling, this is not the type of work that you can solicit and sell. It just isn't. Knowledge does not sell itself. You have to be in a certain mind frame to be attracted to something that someone is saying and not feel like, oh, how the fuck this nigga know that? He shouldn't even know what he knows. All of that, I'd be like, oh, it's just that you're dumb. You haven't figured it out for yourself yet. So you're going to down those that even want to sit here and listen to it, which is great. Save me time and energy and do you. There is a portal for those that want to sound smart but ain't really talking about nothing. And that portal should exist for those individuals that want to hear that. But I really appreciate you guys because, you know, I know our listeners, they don't need the hype. It's like we are the no-frills family. And even though we look frillish, I laugh at it because in being no-frills, it's constantly like, wow, that's how, like, y'all answer your phone. Like, I might not answer it right away. Aseer's got his voicemail is full every day. And real talk, I sometimes forget to clear it because it's only me. And even in wanting to have help and stuff, I really thought about it. I was like, how dare I give somebody my password to my voicemail to clear my messages? Like, if there's 100 messages, I don't really even think that I'm that important to not sit there and go through all of them myself. Like, when does it become like the job, like, okay, we'll send this generic message out to everyone? That you can't do that with this. This is a very acupuncture-based business, meaning you have to deal one-on-one with people because everybody is coming from a different school of thought and everybody is not on the same page. And I think a lot of the confusion is taking place because everybody wants to sound like the scholar now. I remember a time where people this was not even interesting to do until they heard Aseer talk in parables and tell stories that sounded like, oh, you know what, I could do this. But again, I'm going into something that's really not even that deep anymore. I love y'all, man, for tuning in and for trying to send $1 to people that I think, I know we deserve it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I really appreciate those that understand why I don't solicit everything on Facebook. It's too much. I don't even put flyers out for classes anymore. Because if you know us, you know we're always doing them. We always are having them. We've always been doing them. And, you know, as you can hear, I'm stuffy from jumping in the swimming pool with this 5-year-old who's like, you're 5, Mommy. You jump in the pool with me 1,000 times. I'm realizing, like, wow, I did that, and I can't handle it. I'm 35. So even when I try to play like a 5-year-old, I'm reminded that I am not my son. He made it fine. He didn't have to pull 1,000 times. Me, I'm a little tired. Why? Because I don't get as much sleep as I used to. Because that's just the way my life is now. So I love y'all, man, for tuning in and for being a support to our family and to the work that we disseminate and give and do. Because Aseer really takes it to heart. He's very connected to this, even if I didn't, 1,000 different things he could be doing. He's going to come home and read because that's what he's like. That's who he is. So, all right, you guys, I love you, and thank you for tuning in and spreading the word one-on-one with people, and thank you. All right? Peace.
Thanks, Dave. She's right, I agree with all of that, But again, the benefits we know detract from any detract or whatever for anybody else that's out there. You know what I mean? Because that's not the goal. But the goal is to know what it is that you provide. You know what it is you provide and provide that. And a lot of times what this world is going to strive to do is pull the ego demon out of you and make you feel like, you know what I mean, that people are purposely doing things to, subtly antagonize. And a lot of times they are. You know what I mean? Keep it real with you, especially in arenas such as this, you know what I mean, in which men and women feel that they need to vie or somehow wrangle the attention that one person is getting from somebody else. But that has nothing to do with knowledge. It has nothing to do with the fact that the knowledge that that person may be kicking is on point. However, if tainted by ego, then you're not going to really get the full message, and you're going to peep more of the flaws. And that's not really the desired effect when we're all trying to come up. Like, only a backwards people would try to break down their leaders before they actually got on. You know what I mean? So because we're the only people doing that, well, not us, but, the people who are doing that are detracting away and trying to detract your attention away from the obvious. And the obvious is these people are totally insane who allegedly run your government, these so-called politician people. And based on them being and being that they aren't totally insane, you have to understand that the more sane they appear to you, the more they have been trained to be even more crazy. So when you or I start to look at these people as viable means of information, we create a barrier within ourselves to produce and create and understand the true information that we're supposed to be receiving from the given situation. So an example of this would be something like a bill that was passed a little while ago, but it was 93-7. And the vote, this basically declares that the entire United States of America is a battleground, understand? Which somehow is trying to avoid posse comitatus. For those people that don't know what posse comitatus is, that is that the Army is there to protect the people, not try to enforce the people. But your United States government or citizens of the United States, that is your government has waged war against its own citizens directly because the citizens have proven themselves to be dishonorable in what they're doing to the free inhabitants of this who exist outside the state and corporate jurisdiction, but who are being led in the position to be construed as something they're not. Like, identity theft is a big thing. You know what I mean? That's a heavy circumstance, and you can spend a lot of time in jail to that. But if you really understand how you, as an Asiatic Moabite or Moor, your identity was stolen a long time ago, and the ability to get it back to you was there. However, the people who were supposed to tell you how to do that purposely lied to you and led you into the opposite direction. So what this means is that the United States is basically, again, declaring war with its own self. You understand? But you notice I'm saying the United States. I'm not talking about America. America, or the true authentic American Americans, or the Moorish Americans, or the Moorish American or Tonkin American, we are the ones that are the only ones that could really receive political asylum for the fact that we are the ones who really understand that we are the precept to the government. How can we show and prove that? If we had to. Now, that's a trick question, because a true noble doesn't have to prove anything, because the truth is proof enough. You understand? When you get into situations where people want you to prove things to them, then what they're striving to do is make you on the same level as them, or find fault with that.
Anything you say.
And they're getting you to doubt that. Therefore, you have to dig into the annals of some sort of research to then come up with the verification that says yay or nay that this is it. But when you are the truth,
this is where the true metaphysics
the
lie.
true aspect of that manifests into things as simple things, like the preamble to the United States Constitution. What does it say? It says, "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union," right? "Establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare," right? Capital lowercase g, capital W, right? "And secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." So that means that the preamble Constitution of the United States of America shows by how it's written that the origin comes from a pre-existing nation. But in that, this United States that's talked about, this capital U, capital S United States, is the original so-called United States of the Republican Society, of the Societas Republicae Americanos Estados, translated into English as the Al-Moroccan or the Al-Moroccanos Republican Society of Moors, or the Republican Society in the perpetual state of Moors. Either way, it means the same thing, and that image of what that is was represented by the same pyramids that your ancestors built. But somehow these people have made you believe now that some people call an Illuminati built those things, or somehow owns those things, and somehow created a way to make that thing against you and you evil, thereby somehow also transliterating themselves into so-called blackface, you know what I mean, in which these people like, Jay-Z and these type of people who operate with that echelon. And it then created a backlash effect. The slave, remember, you're still dealing with people dealing with a slave mentality. So a slave only sees a way of not being a slave by gaining power or freedom or sovereignty from the person who they felt they was under. So if that's the case, then let's look at the word sovereignty, right? Sovereignty is the quality of having independent authority over a geographic area such as a territory. It can be found in a power to rule and make laws that result on a political fact for which no pure legal definition can be provided. Therefore, it's strictly speculatory. Sovereignty. You see? In theoretical terms, the idea of sovereignty, historically from Socrates, the Moor, the Etruscan, the Phoenician, right, going to Thomas Hobbes now, the so-called Illuminist, you know what I'm saying? So consistently, this creates a backlash in the mind of the person, because now look at what happened. Therefore, it has always necessitated a moral imperative on the entity exercising it. Therefore, sovereignty is based on morality. Therefore, you have to have morals, or you have to be a Moor of all, right, to be able to fully attribute yourself to that idea, if that is what you are espousing. For centuries past, the idea that a state could be sovereign was also connected to its ability to guarantee the best interests of its own citizens. Thus, if a state could not act in the best interest of its own citizens, it could not be thought of as a sovereign state. So that means, by definition, what the United States is doing is proving itself not to be worthy of its sovereign position in the world by declaring war against itself. If it's declaring war against itself, how can it then afford to be at the head of peace accords with other nations when it itself is divided? Therefore, the United States is not sovereign, i.e., the United States of America is not sovereign. Yet, it enjoys sovereignty. How can that be? Well, let's look further. Thus, if a state could not act in the best interest of its own citizens, it could be not thought of as a sovereign state. Therefore, the United States that does not look at its citizens in the best interest, it has declared war against its citizens. It is attacking its citizens through false flag attacks, but its citizens are so daft that they still don't want to do it because they don't want to lose their privilege, because the citizens of the United States are only those people who were brought in through the Iron Cross Legions of the Union Society of States that was founded in 1865 and has been running ever since. The concept of sovereignty has been discussed throughout history, of course, from the time of the Romans. You see that? They're saying from the time of the Romans. They say it's throughout history, but they note the Romans first. Yet, this also then means that Rome then had to come out of a different society. That society was Carthage, a Punic society. Punic being another way, the same way you would use the term Greek or American to describe an Asiatic of that time or Moors of that period. The current notion of state sovereignty contains four aspects of territory, population, authority, and recognition. But when these people are telling you to declare sovereignty, are they denoting what type of sovereignty they are declaring for you or getting you to declare for yourself? If the devil that you're trying to declare this from, you've already shown him that you're not on your own because you're going to him to show that. Because you were telling him, right, that you are sovereign. But what sovereign means is that you were once under an occupation. You, as an Asiatic Moor, have never truly been under the occupation of anyone because you and your people fell by compelled benefit, tacit consent, under coercion and duress, and also through willful ignorance. Therefore, your people were always plaintiffs, or our people, who are the undeclared 85 to 95% masses, dumb, deaf, and blind, they represent plaintiffs in error. Because based on, in real law, true law, the isonomy that your and our ancestors manifested and brought first to this planet, to even build on something like that, to even use that term, you got to be in a moral and honorable position in some way. Because if not, by even uttering that, you have now banished yourself out of the kingdom if you're not striving to really be that. So if people are telling you that sovereignty is somehow a manifestation of something commercial, they are giving you an improper venue to express what it is you're trying to relay. Because what you're trying to relay in that vein is that your sovereignty is based upon your money and your spirituality and everything else. So, but if you believe that, then function along that line. But in that, you still have not declared what sovereignty you're talking about. Because there's no such thing as commercial sovereignty. Because in order to get money, you got to share money. What they say, scarce money don't make none. So there's really no such thing as commercial sovereignty. You can have your own state financial sovereignty, meaning your own individual manifestation, but there is none. The only sovereignty that exists that this white man understands is domestic sovereignty, which is the actual control over a state exercised by an authority organized within the state, which is somehow a codependent. Then there's interdependent sovereignty, which is the actual control of movement across state borders, assuming the borders exist. That's why you have the local police and then you have the state police. Because the state police are closer to the corporate city limits, therefore they have to deal once you cross from one state to the next, they got to deal with the federal government that acts as the interface to make sure there's no human trafficking or whatever going on. Then there's international legal sovereignty, which is a formal recognition by other sovereign states. But then there's Westphalian sovereignty. Westphalia was mentioned in the book Candide by Voltaire about the Moor, who was an idiot savant, was able to travel the world, and based on his uncanny ability to see the bright side of things, he was able to come up and was always blessed. So he was Westphalia. Westphalia was an aspect of Prussia, so now this is bringing the whole, Moorish Holy Roman Empire thing into play. And there's also a section in there where it goes deeply into the international slavery that was going on amongst the Moors, selling all these white people, and what that was doing to the Moorish nation. But these Moors don't read books like that. You know what I'm saying? The lack of other authority over a state, Westphalian sovereignty is the lack of other authority over state than the domestic authority, such as authorities could be a non-domestic church, a non-domestic political organization, or any other external agent. So again, I'm showing if we are, dealing with true sovereignty, then I'm showing and proving to you why you have to be careful when you use terms like that. This is why the devil will use a term like sovereign citizen to lump you into some sort of patriot movement that you are diametrically opposed to genetically, because the so-called patriots, the patriots, meaning coming from the line of the father of the patriots is Chief Tammany, and that was a Moor, and is also the patron saint of America, to the point where they ran everything through the Lenape Algonquin lords, who, again, descended from the Societas Republicae y Americanos Estados. So if we have a line of dissension, remember where you heard it first. It was the Societas Republicae y Americanos Estados, then it was the Union of the Six Nations, then it was the Iroquois Confederacy, then it was the Continental Congress, or the First Continental Congress, and then it was the Congress of the United States, then it was the United States Congress, what it is today. So based on that ascendancy, you are at the top, buddy. If you choose to accept the fact that you have a constitution that has never been repealed, never been amended, never had to be, and is the first one in the documented history of the world to say that all men are free and equal. But to be a man, you got to be a Moorish American national. But to be that, you got to understand what Moorish Science Temple truly and really is. But we don't. Don't even tell me. I don't know. Oh. And that's what wound up happening. So again, the Great Seal is your seal. That's the seal of your government. That's the seal of the government of the Republic, the Society of Perfect Moors, the original United States. That's you, the federal government. That's what that is. But they have boxed you out based upon the fictitious history that was written down in their books after their diabolical plan. You have to understand, you as a Moor, man, you as a Moor or Asiatic on this planet have been the victim of the most heinous, erroneous form of perpetual denationalization based on fear of who and what you really are. But they got us thinking so least of ourselves that any truth that sounds like this, they don't already corrupted, and got enough dumb niggas in the cipher to be able to spout stuff that ain't real. So a union is a uniting or a connecting of two or more into one. You see that? Two or more into one. This word keeps coming up. But because it's spelled More, like it's supposed to be different. It's only different in your mind. Your mind has created the transliteration of this word over the many decades that you exist. So when you see a more, that means love. No, that means a more. Because Moors are love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality. And Moors, the word Moor mean a lot. A lot was the moon goddess, by which the moon, the crescent, representing the belly, the star representing the baby, represents us then. Therefore, all of us coming by the darkness. Indeed. That's why your name is Selena. And in the same process, it creates the portal now for us to actualize the harvesting of things. the most inexperienced gardener will tell you, you can't plant no seeds by the light of the sun. Are you crazy? If you want the garden to grow, you better wait till the moon come out and make it happen. So that means, again, that we following this thing, but they've taken the word and turned it into a word to describe aspects of what the whole is. But in you, it is quantified as a whole. That's why Osar, right, the Lord of the perfect black, the almighty El, that's what they call him on the walls of Kemet, the El, or the Elohim, the Lord of the perfect black, right, God of resurrection. Color green. The original flag was green with a red star. He was cut up into 14 pieces, right? 1 and 4 is 5. That's power. That's truth. But the 14 also can represent the 13 colonies and the 2 extensions, which was Hawaii and Guam, that they added after, as well as the process of carbon-14, which is the physical representation of death and regeneration of all things. Exactly. Who thinks more is better than less? An idiot. You know what I'm saying?
Well, more is better because then if you get less, then you might not have enough.
Yeah, that commercial with the little girl's like, no, more is better than less, because if you have less, then you really want more, and we just want more. We want more and more. I'm watching this on TV, and I'm taking it for what she's saying. They want the more. When Britney Spears was going through the shit, she had the song "Give Me More," and it was a black man who produced it. And in the movie, she was fighting against herself. She was twinned in herself, and there was a black version of her and a white version. Because we are the true Heru. And the story of the hero, or the story of the Heru, first comes the call to adventure. That's when you understand, oh, there's something else going on that's bigger than me that I happen to be a part of. Then it's the refusal of the call. And you like, nah, I got to still go to work. I got to do what I got to do and raise my family. I can't be out here demonstrating to the police or these other people who think that I'm this or whatever. Then you wind up meeting with the mentor. That's when the old bum or whoever, like in The Alchemist, comes to you, who's wearing the ancient Hebrew breastplate that the Levite priests wore, who again were high priests of El, the Elohim, or whatever. Then from there you understand what's going on. Then you got to cross the threshold. That's now you about to move past and break beyond the barrier that was sent to lock you in. This is when everybody starts turning against you. Then you go from the test, from the allies and the enemies. Now your friends, who you thought was your friends, turn out to be enemies, and then the enemies wind up not hating on you. Case in point, when you start kicking who and what you really are, the white folk is totally intrigued. They're trying to test to see how much you know, but the black people are the first one coming out against you saying it. See what I'm saying? The enemy becomes the friend becomes the enemy. Then the next part of the story, you approach the innermost cave, which is now you storming the castle or going to the next level or having to go into the court or, God forbid, getting locked up and then having to come out and all of that bullshit. Then you wind up going through the supreme ordeal where you confront the devil, confront the beast, and then you rise above that. Then that's when the reward comes. That's when you hook up with the female. Or the female comes and redeems you, like in The Legend of Zelda. You're doing all of that for the queen. Once you do that, now you're going up the other side of the spear now, and now you're getting on the path, or what they call the golden path. Then you reach the level where it seems like you was defeated, but in actuality, you have now gone through your resurrection and become Osar. Go from Hiram to Osar, and then from there you return with what the alchemists would call, or what the Druids used to refer to, or the so-called soothsayers or sorcerers would refer to as the elixir of life. That's understanding, being able to take the smooth ashla, right, which is supposed to be the cornerstone, which is supposed to represent the pineal organ, which is supposed to represent the Kaaba stone of the Sangui Asar that is in the 90-degree angle at the corner, that everybody's supposed to bow and put their head to, that's protected by a silver container, because that's the representation of Nut, of the eye of Nut, which is the vagina of the Asiatic black woman. The doorway and the gateway into all physical reality. I don't care if you're a white woman, a black woman, or whatever. Your ancient ancestor, before you even existed, there was somebody that was a melanated being that taught civilization and how to rock with and suckle from the teat of the mother. So in that, like I said, there's when niggas was kicking that whole, the black woman is God, the man's a degenerate female. Anybody who read any book by Hilton Hotima who could tell you where all that came from. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. What we do is disqualify ourselves from the position and then get mad when somebody else get the job. And we do that by giving power outside of what's really going on, by seeing things based upon the understanding of the agenda without polarity. So, okay, I am in total agreement that the first, let's say, physical manifestation of life, in a sense, would be female. Yet the non-physical correspondent of that is what spawned the actual physical. Therefore, there's a union. Just like within any man and any woman, you'll have days where you more masculine or more feminine. It's just some people who are crossed over or crossed up or crossed out wind up indulging that to the point where they edify that without understanding the spiritual significance of what they may be feeling. Because this society is quick to amplify and reward the most trivial of notices and nuances, but the more sincere and direct you are about what you want to do, it's a problem. Oh, we can't do that. So you can have 1,000 different potato chip and soda choices, but when it comes to, your government, you got to either be Democrat or Republican. I'm sorry. When this whole government is predicated on a goddamn lie, contracts that are induced by mistake, fraud, duress, undue influence, coercion, misrepresentation or whatever, are basically all void. So when you look at it, when you strive to do something in your religious exercise that's already verified by a higher court, what the state government is trying to do is trying to extort money out of you. Thereby, in any interface with any state organization, what has to happen is that you got to first understand your position and what you are in the state, why they could declare this whole battleground in the U.S. state. And essentially that's based upon you being zoned within their pseudo-republic as something that you're really not. But you don't know what that is, because in order to, you would have to understand where the true power of government or what that truly exists in. And to do that, you got to realize that these people have turned you into, the appropriate definition of capital for federal budgeting, including the use of capital for the federal government itself or the economy at large, right? Ownership by the federal government or some other entity. Defense or non-defense capital, physical capital, and intangible or human capital, distinctions among investments in and for the current future, and retired workers' distinctions between capital to increase productivity and capital to enhance the quality of life. Isn't that what Rudy Giuliani established when he took power from Dinkins? Yes, it was. The quality of life measures that then took place all over the country. Because under Clinton, United States citizens were listed under capital. Clinton was the one that basically brought it up to the public, though. So all of these people that's doing UCC filings, you know what I'm saying, unless you're doing massive filings on the agencies of these entities, meaning that you doing filings to, you know what I mean, lean like what the Kingdom of Hawaii did was that they leaned the United States government for like however many $1 trillion. That happened to be the same $1 trillion that mysteriously vanished right before this dude became president, but they had to pay that off because they illegally overthrew autonomous indigenous Moorish monarchy. They did that. So all of these, and Hawaii was invaded not only by the United States, but by the Nazi Chinese. You know what I'm saying? So the indigenous so-called Hawaiian people and the people of the adjoining islands and all that, all of those is autochthonous Asiatic Moorish people. You know what I'm saying? Same way the people, the Malaysian people and the people in Micronesia and all of that, people wearing black feathers, those, that's all your people. But they, in a sense, a lot of them fought for their own independence, though. They actually fought for it. What the niggas did was they fought to a point to get the job. They didn't fight to get their own because they had Negroes that was urging them to go back into the United States system and not realizing that the 14th Amendment citizen was given to you as an offer when the real instance is the real reason why. There's no American scholar I know that likes the Articles of Confederation. That's because they know if you ever get wind that that's your free national constitution, that you can stand on that and that exists beyond them and they have no jurisdiction over it. But ain't no Moors in the temple really telling you that or explaining that to you or in any of these other black organizations because they want you to believe that you came from Africa because they get paid too, okay? It's real talk. This ain't to say that some of us are not from the continent that they call Africa, but what I know based on the teachings that my prophet and the rest of them left me is that North, Central, and South of Mexico is of Africa. Therefore, I'm in Africa right now. Therefore, me saying I'm an African American is not clear enough due to the other Africa that's out there. So they want me to go back over there. But I don't know nobody over there, and nobody over there ever came back over here to help me. The only people I see today trying to put me onto this understanding is other Moors. God, rest assured, there's more Moors with good intentions than bad ones. But it's the bad ones that's going to get the attention by whatever agencies or agents that are being used to exacerbate the negative aspects of you and me. So based on all this UCT filing that these Moors are telling you to do and all this sovereign citizen and all this other bullshit, these niggas that made $14.3 trillion for the United States government, but you ain't got nothing. You ain't got no house yet. You ain't got none of that. So you can't put people on documentation like that, but you can file people as property improvements because human capital is property, and therefore all property of the United States that I just told you is declared war on. So having a mailbox, mail slot, numbers, address on your house basically makes it so that way evidence of this is being used by even the post office box to a degree is being used under the so-called military commercial residency. Therefore, you're listed as an enemy in the field. So having a doorbell or a door knocking is an invitation under the military and statutory law of the pseudo-state law that is totally lawless. Therefore, they have the right to break the door down if necessary within their own discretion because it is presumed that the existence of such is to permit or allow anyone to enter for any reason once the announcement has been made. That's why they knock 3 times, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and then say who they are and then kick the door down. Therefore, they feel that you've invited them. Therefore, when you try to defend yourself in that, they use that as the tacit against you. So what I'm telling you is that from the beginning of the United States, they created laws to bind us, their perpetual Negro property, to them. Colossians 3:17, which is understanding knowledge, God, right? Which is knowledge, which is peace, which is wisdom, right? Because 1 and 1 is 2. It says, whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do in all in the name of the prophet, giving thanks to God, well, I say God Allah, and the Father by him. Therefore, when you do your aspect in one thing, you got to do it in it all so that it all match up. You see what I'm saying? So people know. That's why they don't want to let people know about things like general delivery and all of that. So not only do corporations have addresses, anybody with an address is not only a corporation, they're listed as an enemy in the field. So you see why it's easy for them to list and create a battleground scenario and now create pseudo-false flag situations for it to pop off, to incite you to riot, so that way they have the right to pull a hammer down with foreign troops. You see what I'm saying? So essentially, we are the manifestation of the truth in physical form. So when we lie and we go against each other and we create situations where we can't fully engender ourselves to be peace, then we wind up falling victim to that. So I have no doubt that there are people from Africa and that you have ancestry from them, as do I. Yet, I also know that term, for whatever reason, or whoever created it, or whatever it is, whatever. I know that term to these people mean that they think they could do what they want to me. I was watching the movie Hotel Rwanda the other day, and there was a point where he was building and all of that, and he Hotel Rwanda, the movie with Don Cheadle and Nick Nolte. I'm watching this movie, and in the process, the dude was like, yo, he was like, you're not even a nigger. He told this to Don Cheadle. Because Don Cheadle was pressing him about why the UN was shitting on him and not helping him really and all of that. And he's like, look, these white people, they don't care about you. He said, and the thing with you is you're not even a nigger. You're an African. He said, so they definitely not going to respect you. This is how this nigga's talking to this nigga. And I noticed when these niggas do movies like that, like right after that, Don Cheadle did this movie called Traitor. Just like The Rock just did this movie called Snitch just now and shit. I just peeped that. And then, but when these white boys be doing one-word movies, it'd be like U-Turn or Oblivion or, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. With black people, it'd be like, Blade or, Snitch or Traitor or Felon or Enemy of the State, Menace to Society. Like, look at what look at how they flipping you internationally. But they can do that because Negroes are human capital property in the United States, and so are Africans. Sorry, that's why George Clooney can go over there and buy whatever African baby he wants. That's why Madonna can do it. Because you niggas have no rights. And the Africans that do got money, that's out there to really put in work and all that, they not doing that. They bought off already. Same way they bought off these niggas over here. They don't care about you like that. And why should they? They have sworn an oath. So when you have brothers that's darker than you, that's joining up with them, taking the same oath to keep you stupid, what do you think they think? You think they trust that man? No. They respect you, though. They'll still try to kill you and all that, but they respect you. And if you do it right, they want to put you on the other shit. But to do that, brothers and sisters, we got to come out of the domestic jurisdiction, the domestic nationality. And that United States citizenship, to them, they don't like you. They trying to kill you. They trying to kill you every day, all day. Then they go to correspondence dinners and make jokes and shit about it. What can you do? But guess what? They got the right to do that to their citizens and their people if that's what they want to do. Because the people still get privileges. The mail still come to you for free, right? That's a plus, right? That's convenient. Until the cops use the same damn mail route. Until the cops use the same thing to kick your door down. Or worse, come to public school, get the knowledge, all of that. Then at the same time, they don't tell you that the teachers may be having sex with the students. The same teacher you smile at, all of that. It's sick. This is how deep it has gotten in terms of what this lie that they first predicated their country on has become, man. They predicated this country off of the fact that they knew that these Moors were really who and what they were. But they said, look, they by their own mouth saying they don't want to be down with their brothers and sisters, they've dishonored themselves, and therefore they're not following the instructions that Ben Bey and them left for us. So we're going to take them off the hands of this blessed nation and protect this blessed nation from these ruffian, undeclared, crazy Moors who don't have no nationality. So we're going to give them a fictitious nationality to allow us to continuously control them throughout the rest of the time here. And then eventually what we're going to do is going to be enough of them that's ignorant to who and what they are that the people will even forgot that they even had a government. And just to be safe, we're going to move all of these niggas down south. Because now, look at them. They're not even using their free national names. They now using the names of their own clans to make it like that's their nation. So now, okay, you come from this line of the clan of the Cherokee, who come from the line of the Elohim, but they not going to even mess with the Elohim thing or the El thing. They just going to be Cherokee. They just going to be this. They just going to be that. So all we got to do, we don't have to even deal with their government anymore. We'll just give this one some money, tell this one that he's this, tell this one that this one is trying to kill him, and then while they kill each other, we'll just keep fortifying our state and use the fact that the Great Seal of the old Moors, who are not here no more, because their descendants are crazy. But we can't tell them that because we conveniently took an oath not to let that out. And we'll get together because he can't kill the truth. So what we'll do is we'll just get together every Friday or Sunday night and dress up like them in secret and act like we representing them.
That'll be the ritual.
And that'll be the ritual.
The more we do that, the closer we'll feel like them.
Right.
And then maybe
their God will sign on us.
Will become mine, and my little spirit can become grand like theirs.
And then we can use their bodies. We separated
body snatchers.
We'll separate their bodies from their minds and souls because their bodies was attached to their nationality. So now that they're undeclared, these ones over here, we're going to make them believe that they came from a whole other place.
Brilliant. You're brilliant, Master.
Then what we'll do, we'll call it reconstruction. We'll have a war to shield what we're doing. Call it reconstruction, reconstruct everything.
Oh, that's dumb stock.
Then from that, create manifest destiny to then let us go to the west. And then we can be them in spirit. And then they won't be able to come back because they'll have forgotten the exact way that this thing went down.
Oh, you are too brilliant, Master. That is wonderful. And they still think we're monkeys.
Yep.
The joke is on that.
Yep.
Ha ha, chi chi. We'll be the last ones laughing. Promise.
Yep.
You see why we don't have no friends? But we have two guys.
More friends. We have more friends than we don't. But
it was a joke. It was part of my joke. Seeing it like, this is what excites us, talking like this all the time.
And that's how they did it. But ain't nobody going to tell you. It's so simple that nobody want to believe that. So they don't believe it. So I'm not going to go on and debate somebody if it really happened like that and all that. I'm a function like it did happen like that. You know what? That's what I'm going to do. Because this white man function however the fuck he want to function. He function on shit that he know is not true. But it's not about him. It's not about whether he know it or not. It's about if I know. He know he's a liar. He just want to be able to say that I'm not who I am. Therefore, we are the only people. Because the Jews, what they did to the Jews, that was nothing. Matter of fact, that was their own people doing that to them. That was white on white crime. No, it don't make it right, but don't try to act like that shit is more than what I'm going through today, because it's the same Jews that's working with them that box me out. The people that the Israelis is bombing in Gaza Strip and all that, they look like me. They don't look like no Arabs. They look like me and her and you. And they killing black people. And people that they was torturing all in Libya, those is black people, not Arabs. These Arabs don't give a damn about that. They know that melanated people don't care about their people like that. So they do what they want to them. The name Moor used to bring terror. We would have to be careful to not even say that. That's what I'm trying to say. You were so ill that it brought terror to certain people. To this day, if you go to certain places in Africa, we're in the feds traditionally, these niggas will look at you like you're trying to come and rape and kill them. Or because of Leopold. So because there was 100 years or 50 years or 75 years of what he did to them people here, over there in the Congo. Now, the feds itself belong to white people and Turks. Right? That's the story now. When I got pictures of people going all the way back to 836 BC, wearing feathers and turbans. Are you stupid? I got pictures of people over here
in the pyramids of Teotihuacan and Machu Picchu and all of that, wearing feathers and turbans with feathers and jewels and shit in the front. So what, white men make that up too? Them people were Africans? Then how come they say that on the map? How come it said Mare Occidentalist? It didn't say Africa Occidentalist. How come it said Ethiopia with an A? Ethiopicus Ocean. Ethiopicus Morris Ocean. I got maps where it say that. Where'd that come from? Where Africa in that? I'm not a Muslim. I'm a Muslim. You know what I'm saying? I don't fuck with that Taliban shit. I don't deal with all of that. You know, who's more of a Muslim than that? That's what them Arabs deal with, because they under the mystery system of Islamism. That was the spell put on them on behalf of Haga-El by Hammurabi Bey. But you got to understand Moorish science and history to know that. These Moors ain't giving you that history. You ain't going to see that. You ain't going to hear about that on Hidden Colors unless I'm on it. But I can't be on shit like that. No, that's not true. I can, but I won't be. Trust. Because I'm for real. And they can't Fred Hampton me. The ancestor blessed me in such a way where numerically this shit about me that's binding them. Where if they try to move on me on mine, that go back to them automatically. They can't afford that right now. They got bigger shit to do. They gearing up for a total false flag invasion of this country. So having a nationality allows you to do something. You're a United States citizen, you can't go nowhere. You belong to the United States. Now, if you try to get asylum from another state, in that sense, that would be like them trying to take your property. That's the same position we was in 1774 when these Moors wanted to just still be Africans and all of that, after we established the only free national constitution in the world. They wanted to still hold on to that, so that it was classed as undesirables by us. Well, the documents I've been reading be saying, like, Negro is cattle, property, we own it, we could do this, mulatto, mestizo, octoroon, Morisco, I could use it like this, all of that. We can't do that with more. It just cut to the quick. And the only people that's going to block you really from doing that, like the state government's going to try to do that, but the federal government know who the real ones is or who ain't. Don't believe the hype, man. Don't be getting caught up because sometimes you may, unfortunately, have been taken advantage of by one of these dirty Moors. Because to keep it real, some of them may not be dirty. Some of them may not have known. They may have been taught that the way that they told you to do it that didn't work out actually was the right way. And now they feel bad because now they done this or whatever because it's happened to me. But again, your intent would allow you to keep a lot of that stuff at bay, where the point is you raise your vibration to a point and disturb people. Not the bullshit is just not going to be able to come to you. You're just going to see it for what it is. So there's the way to evil is through seduction. They got to seduce you to make you feel like you're more important than what you are. These niggas who watch us on the rap game and be making like little records and shit about shit they be watching us saying and don't be giving us no direct credit and shit like that and DVDs and all of that, that's like a cry for help in a way. Because a lot of these young brothers and stuff like that are beset by enemies of the Mossad who are set to them as accountants and agents and things like that. And remember, the Jews were the one who worked with the Boule to be able to keep the real ones out. So just as the brother talked to us about last week, you know that it's a Boule when they call carrier members of the NAACP. Because to be in the Boule, you got to be part. You got to be part of that. Because the NAACP, two of the black founders, was Ida B. Wells and W.B. Du Bois. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it was all white people trying to kill and get rid of them people in Black Wall Street. Don't think that. It was some of them black people making that propane too, so they could drop them crop dusters. That's the only American city ever attacked by air so far, other than Philadelphia. That was the second one. And both of those instances, they attacking who? Black people, Americans, true Aboriginal Americans, or Tonkin Americans. But again, most of us think that we something we not. We still, niggas are still so slave. There's still houses with white Jesuses on the wall. To this day. Said the mega churches is going broke. Said that the well is starting to run dry. So you're gonna start seeing a merging of these churches. It already started with the Church of Scientology and the Nation of Islam. You're going to see a whole merge situation of them trying to come together and consolidate their power. Because the kingdom of God is at hand. Yet, these Moors and these undeclared Moors that's running the same game they was trying to run on you in 1775 and all of that, these are the same dirty ones that's in positions now of pseudo-notoriety where they're actually being paid. And these are still good brothers. They still feel like they're revolutionaries and all of that. But they're getting money. They're getting a check. You understand? And Masonic Connections hook you up. That's why I tell people, like, if you want to do that, you should do whatever you feel you need to do. If you want to be able to go and stay anywhere and stay in, for free and have niggas look out for you and shit like that, like, niggas, they'll do that. To a point. You know what I'm saying? But there's other things that go down. Again, we're a long way from the rituals and the rites of ascendancy that existed in Kemet to what these dudes feel like you going through with them now. You understand? Only a Moor can absolve a Mason. Only a Moor, a true Moor, can absolve you of debt, which is a sin. You understand? Because we are the true ones. We're the true wandering bishops and all of that. We are the nobility of the so-called African race. We are the El and the Yahweh, the Elohim and the Yahweh. That's us. And it's not up for negotiation. I'm sorry. Like, niggas could tell me whatever they want to tell me, man. It don't matter. It's what you know you are. You are the free thought. You are your pineal organ. It's not even about what I'm saying. That's why I tell people, do the knowledge to what I'm saying for yourself. So that way when you see it's right, you then feel more secure in hearing something else from me. You can't, half of these niggas, you can't even get on the phone. And even then, when you do, they start talking down to you like they know shit. And I'm telling you, man, most of these niggas don't, man. And I'm not just talking about them. I'm talking about all of them. I'm talking about the white boys, too. Alex Jones and them, Winston Stroud, David Wynn Miller, you know what I mean? All of these guys, man. These guys have nothing to really offer you to help you like that. And even if they could, they are still part of the same problem. And that secret was passed down to them, too. The same way you saw in the movie National Secret Part 2, where the grandfather was telling the grandson about the Mason and about how they betrayed the shit and all of that. You know, how they was charged to do all of that. That's you talking about the Moors, right? That's them passing the story down. how they wound up having land. Trace all these white folk back. Their family only been owning land in here for about 100 years, 150 years. Those people who go back 200, 300 years, and they look white today, guarantee you, at the time that they so-called ancestors own that land, they look just like you. But they ain't going to tell you that. What they're going to do is they're going to ritualize you to your ignorance. They're going to sacrifice you and hang you. They're going to do things like picnics. People don't even know where the word picnic comes from. That's when young white Ku Klux Klan families would get together, and the clan of the worshipful master of the order would pick a nigga and pick a nicky, pick a nigga or pick a nicky, or pick a ninny, and they would pick the ninny, and they would bring him back to the field, and they tie him up, and then they have dinner and stuff like that, and people come over and beat on him. They have the kids pee on him and spit on him and stuff. And then some men would come and then, take him to the back, rape him, and then try to burn him and put a rope around his neck, then shoot him, then cut off the penis, and then put it on the skewer, and then cut it up, and then they eat it. Yeah, this is what they do. Or this is what they did. Sorry, but that white boy whose penis is in your mouth, black woman, he might have descended from that. That white woman whose, vagina you may be doing whatever to, black man, may have descent from that directly. You don't know, but you don't care. Because everything's supposed to be equal, right? Integration was the best thing that happened to us, right? That civil rights was better than having your own government, right? Having a black elite was better than having a free national confederacy, right? That's what it is. That's the best way to do it, right? Yeah. That's why he always riding your back. They gave Anthony Mackie an Oscar for having this white boy in the Hurt Locker put his penis in the back of his head and grind him into the floor like he was committing a sex act on him. But this is also somebody who played and dealt with homosexual sex in the movie about Zora Neale Hurston. But those movies are good because the Harlem Renaissance was all about the boule sex rituals and all of that. And the opium and the morphine they was taking. How do you think heroin came to Harlem? Because I need you to focus on that more than Black Wall Street. You had your own schools, your own hospitals, your own police, your own lights, your own government, right? Your own doctors and nurses from all over the world. You mean to tell me that these people didn't have no national idea of who they were? These were just regular. They just, they allow slaves to start owning businesses now, right? Uh-huh. You don't own your business if they can just come in and take it over. You don't own your bank account if they could just come in and take it over. There's a such thing called the Privacy Act, but you can't have no privacy from your government no more because they done declared war on you, the U.S. citizens. They've been done it, and they've been doing it, but it's just coming down to the wire now. And again, when they talk to you, when you hear these people talking on all this Illuminati and all of that, and this is from somebody who was down with the creation of one of, I think, the best DVDs on that subject, The Metaphysical Currency of Hip-Hop. But even then, when I was building on that, and when you look at the tape, I never wanted to convey in any aspect, and I don't think I did convey that these people had any power over me or you. I'm just telling you that, look, this dude coming out the plane, but look at this federal agent behind him with the black vest and the black thing and the skull and bones thing that he's wearing. Because all of these things are symbolisms. And have meaning. Because the ancient Egyptian proverb says, know thyself, and ye shall know all things and all truths. and say, search yourself and find out how long you've been bullshitting and how long you've been lying about it. It don't say that. So what? So if I'm not a Moor and the Eel and the Bay don't exist like that, why these niggas want to put me through so much just to put it at these 2 little or 3 little letters at the end of my name? If it don't mean nothing, how come they got to do it? Because the United States is what it is. But what it originally was you and me. They didn't even come up with that name. We gave them everything. All they have done is try to contribute to the delinquency of your youth, the corruption of your woman, and the exclusion of a true Asiatic father figure. And black people help them do that. Because there's something in them that even though they have forgot, they still mad at you. They're still mad at you for making a decision and sticking to it. And not falling back on trying to be something that you're not. One of the hidden charges, I'm telling people who get charged with stuff, make sure you get the open record of the charges because they be putting hidden shit on there that's connected to you denying your nationality. Like one more wound up beating his case, and he told me that when he went back to get a Freedom of Information Act, that's very powerful too. When you be doing that a lot, they really don't like messing with you because they know they got to give up stuff. So in the Freedom of Information Act, he was building on the fact that when he went and actually got full transcripts of his case, that they had attacked identity theft as one of the charges on his joint, and he couldn't for his life figure out why when he was there in his or whatever. But this all happened before he was nationalized. So I told him, I said, that's probably because you was there, even though you won in a thing, you was still a plaintiff in error because you was there not in your free national context. Therefore, you impersonating the Negro. Because how you was kicking pro se with them, that shit was good, and it got you out and all of that. But because you was that pro se is like saying like sui juris or whatever, and only Moors can really be that. So they tacked identity theft on there, hoping that they could get on the back end for the fact for you not declaring your nationality, but coming in there on some sounding like a Moor shit. And he was like, "Wow, I even do that." I was like, "Yeah." These people know who and what you are, man. That's why they wrote it in their state records. Read the state records. Read the Sundry Free Moor Act. Read the House Joint Resolution. See how much. Read the Chicago, Illinois resolution on the Moors, on the Moorish Americans, man. Read what these people have wrote. Why would they give you whole parade proclamations, which is really treason? That's like a treasonous act. You know what I'm saying? Technically. Because we are threats to, well, not really threats to national security, we are the nationals that they're striving to secure, to keep quiet, the silent majority. See what I'm saying? The spirit of 76. So there's an aspect of them that's totally like, walking on eggshells around you, especially when they do that. So what white folks do, they don't just presume to know. They tell you what they think you are, and then when you clarify to them, they ask you the question. So that way you stay trying to see if you really know. Some don't. Some just don't like niggas. Some just don't like black people, melanin or whatever. But their daughters do. Their sons do. Their grandmoms do. Somebody do. And these are people who descend from nigger killers. But nigger killers descend from more killers. You see what I'm saying? And again, don't get it twisted. Isabella, Ferdinand, and them people was Moriscos. Them niggas was light-skinned black people. You understand? You seen them today, you be calling them Dominican or Puerto Rican or something. Or Boricua or something like that. So I'm just keeping it real. Like, let's not give these people more power in your life than they do. That's the problem too. This nigga's just, this white man is the government is just so, there's nothing you could do. They could just bomb you, nuke you. That's true. They could do all of that right now, and they still might. But guess what? What is that going to do to you in the meantime? And even if they do, you're going to reincarnate again. These people can't stop you. They can just delay you. They're trying to delay the inevitable. That's why they turned you against Isa by calling him Jesus. So that way you wouldn't understand that was the first Moor to declare his nationality to Rome. That was the first Moor to be born of a single woman like that in that era, because that was you in that time, ahead of your time. And it wasn't the Romans. The Romans was ready to let him rock. They was ready to be like, look, dude, do you. I don't really have no beef with you like that. You know, this nigga want, but now he threatening revolt, so now I got to put you through the system. And he could have still got out. But the deal was he chose to go the route of the martyr, the sacrifice. And a lot of niggas do. Didn't they martyr? Didn't they sacrifice Khalid? Didn't they sacrifice Steve? Didn't they sacrifice these other people? That don't mean that we all supposed to go out there like that. But some of us caught on too late. That's why I be telling brothers early, especially when you just coming into it. Like, no doubt, get your stripes wet. Yeah, okay, yeah, check that out. That's cool and all of that. Right? Okay, you ready to commit to stuff? Okay. Well, what if they taught you about this? What if they taught you about that? Did they tell you about this? Did they tell you about that? Did they ask you about this? Did you see this when you was in it? No? Okay, well, you see what I'm saying? It's real talk. And I have admiration to any original man or woman who get up and strive to speak the truth as best that they know it. But don't hate on me and don't hate on the next man if we not agreeing, or not agreeing but not necessarily coming out and disagreeing either. Like, I'm not really here to detract from what other people are doing. They all here to do what they feel they need to do. So whoever paying them or not paying them, I would never know. But the only way I'll be finding out, again, is because Allah is seen and heard everywhere. And I've already plugged my spirit in to accept the truth from the most unlikely of sources. Therefore, I'm not cut off from anybody, and therefore I'm always expecting the worst. So when I get the best, I'm genuinely surprised. It got to the point where I was building on so much high shit, I realized, wow, I haven't been surprised in like 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Literal shit like that. Like, wow, okay, well, that's still, you know, surprise is an element of innocence. That's an element of childlike innocence that I still need to hold on to as an original man. So I got to have more faith in people. And that's why I'm glad that the Creator blessed me with the wife I had, because she the one who will have the compassion. She'll the one be the one to let me know, like, okay, well, like you think that you know what I'm saying, like this, but other people may see you in a different. Remember, you're a double Scorpio, so you're Aries, no doubt, but they got issues with that because, you know, people have, yeah, that's what I said. They have issues with that in the context of how those things can sometimes transliterate into direct communication. Just like I said, with the reason why you don't see the word more in the Free National Constitution is the same way you don't need Articles of Confederation or whatever, is the same reason why you don't see more when you write it in your name. If you are more, that's what you are. So I don't have to necessarily write that that's what I am. If that's what I know, we are all agreeing we are. That's overkill. That's redundancy. Like, I don't have to be so, you know, exacerbated to do that. Then they say, oh, well, you know, why would you use European names to do that? And blah, blah, blah. Well, because European names at the time were being used in common tongue here, where you had, you know, Asiatics that was now being born, and because they were living in proximity to some of the colonies and plantations that they did business with and did trading with, that they would allow it easier for the next generation. So instead of naming this baby, you know, Jaguar Paul, we're going to name him, you know, John, you know, Paul Ill or John Paul Bay. But instead of being Bey, it may have been Bey Anu or Anu Bey or something like that. But either way, this name now becomes the name that's used at court. This is now the name that I'm using because most of us are speaking English, but we're speaking the King's English, which is what William Penn said. Therefore, he said he left English, seeing Moore speak the King's English. He come back here, over here in America, in the Mississippi, in the Delaware and all that. He's seeing Moore just the same way speaking the King's English. Because we in league with the King. That was our family, like our cousin. So of course I'm gonna have a pseudo British name, but that name is not British once the free national aspect is added to that. So it's easier for me to speak at court. Don't you got an English name today? Didn't they fought a Revolutionary War? The word revolve means to get back to, not away from. So they needed to get back to the ways of their forefathers, meaning that the forefathers that was enslaving them was the British, right? Who we was in league with. That's why the British government was the first government on the planet to abolish slavery. On behalf of who? The Moors. But people want to shit on and diss the Turks, but in 1492, when the Grand Senor found out what was happening to the Moors, he sent the entire Turkish Navy, the Osman Ali Bey Turks, to go take us anywhere we wanted to go on the planet. You think we didn't come back? Oh, you think Moors didn't come over here? You think John Hardy Hawkins, this person, was supposed to understand that he just knew how to get here? Like, no. How you going to get away from England and go back to it at the same time? That don't make no sense. If his name was Cologne, then why are we calling him Columbus? That don't make no sense. You see? But that can make sense in a colorable corporate world because we're selling the American dream. That's the corporate logo that we're selling to everybody that they're going to adopt because we're really not Americans. We're actually citizens of the United States. That's why they couldn't vote at the convention in Cuba that these niggas want to make you believe didn't happen. That's why they still don't like Cuba for the fact that that's still part of the old Moorish Republic. I tried to show a Haitian, the original Haitian flag with the Corsican Moor's head on it. He's like, oh, no, that is not true. But again, he Roman Catholic, so of course he's going to believe what these people have told him he is. But the Haitian people are magical. They are voodoo, okay? They are bookmen. They are Toussaint L'Ouverture. That's why when in the first fit of rebellion that happened in Haiti, in almost 50 years, all of these Moors got together and burnt over 400,000 Monsanto poison seeds that they wanted to lurch into the system out there. Wyclef ain't trying to stop Monsanto or Matt Damon or the rest of these niggas going in there and doing their thing. So you think any actor, right? Any actor could just go into Africa and, like George Clooney and consult with them on major politics, right? That's what you think? So anybody, any actor could just go to Africa, get whatever baby they want, right? Keep it moving, right? I know stuck-up chicks that liked going to Haiti because they would have dark-skinned people serve them. You know what I'm saying? So that's part of the culture out there. You know, you have service and stuff. And it's not like you enslaving them and treating them bad or whatever, but this chick was on it like that because she was a little lighter skinned, you know what I mean? But she won't hear it like that, just like some white folk won't hear how racist they are. They just are. What, because she black and I'm black, she can't say something that offends me racially? Of course. But am I always going to let her know that that's happening? No. I'm just not going to be around that person too much. And I haven't. See what I'm saying? It works out. Because, again, when you really you, they're dealing with you. It's you that people got to deal with. And not everybody's ready to deal with you. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody's ready to do that. They're ready to deal with aspects of you, the corporate you, but the real you, that's a little too much because nobody got jurisdiction over that you. And that you is self. which is the second principle in I Self-Lord Master, which is the first and last principle in which is the second principle in an isonomy. That Moors want to build what you want with, but you got to understand the clock of destiny with that. And, the so-called Grand Master or the ambassador of whoever was supposed to be running that, the plenipotentiary of the clock of destiny, is a jerk. Did a lot of grimy stuff. You know what I'm saying? That I found out later. Still owe me $300 off of some United Nations IDs he was supposed to get. You know what I'm saying? But again, that's part of the deal. I'm glad I didn't do the nonsense because it was later that I realized that this person was actually doing executive tech for one of these pseudo enemies of ours. You know what I'm saying? The way I knew that was that me and the guard, Warlene is chilling on the corner on 125th right before I moved down here, and I see this dude walk up with these pictures, and then boom, this dude, flacked up with these dudes looking like ATF or whatever. Okay. But this is the one that I first, gave bread to teach me about more science, clock of destiny, and all of that. Yet, I pray and I'm thankful to Allah that I was able to go through that experience and with that person. Because now I know what not to be like. You dig what I'm saying? I know what not to do. Therefore, now when I see how this person's name is being used around here, I see. Like I said, that's why Othello said, take from me not my good name, for that which you take and fattens your purse and enriches your purse, but instead makes me poorer still. That's real talk, man. One of the greatest books on the Moors is Othello's Children in the World. That should be the bestseller, especially all these people who want to, get on the Moorish bandwagon now. Rappers rolling with Moors and all of that, getting clapped at, but they don't know. So we got to know. So like I said, this is not to dissuade anybody from being whatever you want to be. If you a Kemite, that's beautiful. Be that. If you a RBG, that's beautiful. Be that. Hate the white man. Do what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? All of that. Strap up. If you a Hebrew Israelite, keep hating the white man. Keep raping them white women into paradise, because that's what some of these niggas believe. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not here to go through people's individual belief systems and detract from them. They are free to believe anything they want to be, and that's the American way. That's liberty, and I believe in that. But don't hate on me if I'm not dealing with all of that. Don't hate on me if I'm going back to the ultimate patriotic act, which is reestablishing an isonomy. They don't want that on this planet no more. They done made you think that the greatest society that could ever exist on this planet was the state of Rome. Are you crazy? As great as Rome was, we sent them wild Germanians in there. They burnt that shit down within a week. You know what I'm saying? And then we kept them niggas in darkness for like another 150 years till Jabral and them said, look, let's go over there and clean this thing up. Same way we always been doing. But I digress. See if we get any calls. Oh, great. Okay, great. Yeah, we'll do next Monday calls. We only got 15 minutes left. Like peep this. Excuse me. Yeah, the Queen was like, we could do it next Monday because it'll be easier. We'll start it earlier or whatever. I was just in the zone. Let's see. So these people used to have conventions to try to make up laws to try to reign in Morocco as these kingdoms started to receive more power from dominions that they were now turning into countries, nations, and states. The right to hold property, Article 11. The right to hold property is recognized in Morocco as belonging to all foreigners. See how they were flipping it? The purchase of property must take place with the previous consent of the government. Look at that. And the title of such property shall be subject to the forms of prescribed by the laws of the country. Any question that may arise concerning this right shall be decided according to the same laws, and the privilege of appeal to the Minister of Foreign Affairs stipulated in the treaty. This is the treaty that basically recognized or basically started to break up the so-called Moorish dominion. Here's the treaty, the Convention of July 3rd, 1880. This is when you had who was in that? That was Lucius Fairchild, or who was it? It was the President of the United States of America, mentioned first, of course, the Emperor of Germany, the King of Prussia, the Emperor of Austria, right? The King of the Belgians, the King of Denmark, and the King of Spain, the President of the French Republic, the Queen of the United Kingdom and Ireland, and the King of Italy, and finally the King of the Netherlands, Sweden, and Norway, and the Sultan of Morocco. Now, like I said, this is at a time when we had already had international treaties in play for us from 1751, recognizing us as emissaries and consuls that were functioning through the British protection, that were functioning through the British protectionary state. Yet, when we talk about the British, we're talking about an empire that was technically still under the jurisdiction of the Moors. So, specifically speaking, they created a implementation that allowed us to be able to redistribute how we were going to reconstitute the nation. This culminated in what happened in Cuba, but had already had its groundwork in the beginning of the Canaanite temple and all of that, where all of this was basically reorganized and put back into the play of us, with us being in control. So, to this day, these things still exist for us internationally. Yet to do that, we have to come out of the domestic spell that somehow or another this so-called United States is actually your and my true country when it's not. And that the flag of what we would call the Almoravian Empire, which is the red flag with the red star, is the flag of your direct country, of you as an unconquered Moor over here. And it is not. We already talked about that. So, in that, you already have a flag for your country individually, yet that flag, again, was taken down. And when they talk about the so-called Confederacy, you know, how Confederate dollars didn't mean anything anymore, we always think Confederacy as the South Confederacy with the General Lee in them, when really we're talking about the true Confederacy that existed, that went all the way from North, Central, and South America. The articles that was protected by the Articles of Confederation. That the so-called Confederacy of the South that was now practicing this whole hell chattel slavery thing, even though the North was involved with aspects of it too through Tammany Hall, they was just doing it to the Irish. So the same way that the northern so-called white men was now flipping the jurisdiction of the Irish and these other importees they was bringing in or whatever, was the same way that they was doing it in the South. But the Southerners didn't come up and try to stop them from enslaving the Irish and the Welsh and the rest of them that they was bringing over here and giving false nationality to. That's another thing. A lot of these nationalities that you're seeing today came out of Ellis Island. A lot of these nationalities didn't exist until Ellis Island existed. That's why Ellis Island was shut down after the majority of these nationalities was accepted as the predominant nationalities of America, in which the complexion of America changed into what it is now. When we look at the root word or the root definition of what America is and was back in the days, it is drastically different what they say now. That American originally were the original copper-colored races that existed in the so-called Americas prior to the European expansion. Nowadays, to mean a person of European descent. You see that? So again, they're not Americans. They're aliens. They're foreigners. They're more foreign than the Mexicans. But the thing with them is they agreed, talking about the white man, that they actually were the slaves of these noble Moors who really entrained them how to run a government and all of that, and really built with them through the Freemasonry thing how to really do it right. And then due to the jurisdictional influx of these dirty Moors or these undeclared Moors who are now referring to themselves as everything else, you know what I mean, this now became it. So the original tribal name in the people's own language became the name of the actual nation spoken of, but that's not what the people themselves, again, their tribal name was like their clannish name. Their tribal name was like their individual thing, like this group of family came up and they were calling themselves, speaking this type of tongue, but because they were all protected by the Societas Republicae Americanas Estados, they were still in the clannish aspect of the Eos and the Bays, the Elohim and the Yahweh. So that's when you get named like Ana Inin, right? Or Dakota or Chickasaw or Dine, right? There's mad at them. And most of the names mean the same thing. The people of this land, the people, true people, the people, real people, principal people, swamp people, people. But it's always the people. Because that's us. The original Asiatic black man and black woman. Therefore, we who spoke, like the language that we were speaking was called Maghrabin Arabic, which was the language of Morocco. The Maghrabin Arabic is going all the way back to the Kufic period, when we were practicing a form of writing called chrysography, where, again, we were using indigo dyes that we had developed from the time of Phoenicians to create one of the most beautiful books in the world, this thing called the Blue Quran. You know what I mean? So, as it stands, the wealth of the nation cannot reach its full pitch until the true inheritors, the true beneficiaries, step up and do what they want. And when I do what they want, I mean accept their Jewish nationality, but they don't really do that because, you know, they've been taught that they're other things. So they're, again, using the tribal name as their national name. But their national name, again, the name that you're spoken of in the nation, in the national aspect, is not necessarily the name you've spoken amongst your people, the secret name of your people. So they want to tell you that the Carthaginian and Phoenician god Baal, right, was some sort of god they were sacrificing to, but Baal was really a combination of Baal, or the Baals, you see, who were the gods who existed in the realm of, in the heavenly realm of the deity. So in the Ugaritic, in the Ugaritic, I should say, it was referred to as Baal when they came together. So the El came from Asherah, and then Asherah and El produced Yahweh. And then Yahweh was given dominion over the earth to judge on behalf of El, and the culmination of both became Baal, or Baal, who then produced the heavenly council, who were the host of heaven, who guarded against and protected the realm of Midgard, or what we call the realm of humanity, that in the Thor myth was called the tree of life, Yggdrasil. But Yggdrasil is really the tree of life, or the skeletal system, or the spiritual skeletal system of the universe, manifesting out of the primordial or primeval emanation of the Ein. That's why when you see images of El, the god, he is sitting with a gold fez on. He's either sitting down with a gold fez or he's about to smite something. Because you either call the Moors when you want help, or you got to, get taken out. At least that's how it used to be. So what people take as literal interpretation, right, to produce the theory of a world being created by a bunch of independent kingdoms, right, people who look the same, kind of just the same, with varying little differences, but specifically are not related. That's thinking like a croquet. That's thinking like a cracker, someone that's there to crack up the unity. If you look at the Mi'kmaq alphabet and you look at the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, you would see that they match up almost perfectly. But everybody wanna. It's like the more common, and he said it's like what Moors is fighting for popularity and who's awakening more people now, or black people is like fighting over who's going to put more people on, and it's sad. Well, it's true. It seems like it. You know what I'm saying? So we got to do the knowledge. We got to, flip that up. But the way to do it is through the eye of the needle by which we came. And to do that, we have to understand the true aspect of the Moorish science does not dwell in any physical temple that you're going to get into. These physical temples are really just kind of like old school way stations for you to realize who and what the temple truly really is. That's why they still need it. You see what I'm saying? Because some people think faster than other people. Some people are put onto things quicker than other people. It's just how it is. And those people should not be in positions where they are forced to slow down their vibration to allow other people to catch up, if that's not their position. We all here to do something else. Therefore, we have to allow each other's individuality to shine through, because that's what allows the collective realization that we have to come out of the position that we're in. That's why when I read the Bible, whenever I see stuff, it seems like the more man wants to get everybody to work together and be under one under one big thing. Noble Ali never said all of humanity had to be Moors. He never said that. He said the Moors were here to up and therefore it's not about everybody coming up the same way and being the same, but when it's about this, like not everybody in the United States government like the United States government. So with that, thank you guys for tuning in and all of that. And inshallah, I'll see you next week. If you have any questions or you'd like to deal with us or get us out for lectures or anything like that, book signings, workshops, tarot readings, yoga session, whatever, at houseofel@hotmail.com. You could also check out our website, www.aseer.com, for a lot of our lectures and other materials, as well as www.darkskull418.com to pick up the world's most dangerous comic book novel that gets into a lot of the stuff we're talking about tonight and more. And inshallah, we'll be able to build further. Also check out Cooking More with Les, www.cookingmorewithless.com. Definitely check that out. And again, anybody who wants to holler at us about getting things straight in terms of our national context and things like that, we can definitely help you pursue that end. And inshallah, the more people that are right, the more people get right, help us get right. Want to definitely give respect again to those people who are really working to keep things as consistent as possible in dealing with this movement, and want to support everybody in whatever it is they feel they need to do. We have no hate, or harbor no ill will to any other entity, because as far as we can see, we are not really threatened by that, regards to the threat that's being put out there in terms of all of us, based on the insanity of the United States. That has nothing to do with those of us who are not citizens of that. Therefore, we don't have to fret or fear or put things out there about the situation that's not true. So again, love and light to everybody. If anybody wants to leave a donation or give a donation, we greatly appreciate it. You can go to dukeoftears@gmail.com through PayPal. That's DUKEOFTIERS@gmail.com. Again, our classes go on every Wednesday from 9 to 11, and we're on Super Heru Radio every Monday from 9 to 11. So definitely pass the word, tell a friend to the end, and inshallah. Oh, yeah, also, if you want to pick up the song that you heard in the beginning, The Beach, as well as 13 other bangers, go to www.tunecore.com or iTunes, and you can download the soundtrack mixtape album CD. The soundtrack to the book, Dark Skull 418, 13 tracks done by myself and Selena under the name Team Cordoba, as well as Amor. He's on it too. So love and light, do what's right, inshallah. We'll get together on Monday night. Peace.